Hello everyone and welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today with a game between Jaapaasa and Koenig from the May monthly tournament in the FOB HQ Discord. So both fantastic player and I'm very excited to watch this game. So this is the semi-finals. We have Jaapaasa with already one game that he has won, and Koenig currently is trying to catch up and even things out and potentially looking to turn things around entirely. So we have Jaapaasa in the left in red playing 7th SD, and on the right in blue we do have ColonelKoenig playing Lovas. So two interesting divisions. Now the rules for this tournament were that both players would pick 6 divisions that they like to play, then ban 4 of their opponent's divisions, and then pick one of the remaining 2 of their own. So you can kind of control a little bit what you're going to get to play, because of course if you put 4 really good divisions in there and then 2 not so good ones, you can guess which ones will usually not get banned. So I'm wondering if this is what these players try to do here, because neither of those divisions would be your classical first pick for this map, in my opinion at least. That's not to say that they're bad. For Lovas at least, I do not know. It's just that, you know, they're definitely not your A or S tier divisions. But yeah, I think we're just going to go to the decks and look at those real quick before we actually head into the action. Let's start with 7th SD. Now, this division has actually quite some fun and interesting tools, which you don't see very often, so this is very cool. On the other hand, though, it also has quite a few issues. The most significant one probably being they don't actually have any bazooka units, and that can be quite a problem, but we're going to get into it. So you have an interesting mix of armor that already starts in the recon tank with the T60, which is, I think, an autocan tank, then a T70 as well. He also brings these snipers in a transport. I think it's the BA-10 with only the DT, basically. In the tank, we have the Pionierit, or Pioneer, whatever. This is actually quite a nice unit. I'm surprised to see it, but I guess Jaapaasa wants it for the like push and rush potential, because otherwise, I know from Jaapaasa's tier list video that he's not a fan of small grenade thrower teams, but this one, I don't know. For 10 points, not too bad. And then we do have a leader. Then Laskurid SVT is basically just a Strelki SVT. Then you have the Mustad bundle. Now, these are actually pretty nice. Why? Because you have a massive availability. They are chunky and they do have a machine gun. Now, they're disheartened, which sucks, but who cares if you can span them around everywhere? And then we get the Laskurid DP, which are basically Strelki DP. Tanko, yeah, everything here is just named a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, this is a Tanko coming in a 50 cal half track. The next one is a AFTO, and then some more DPs and SVTs. So as you can see, quite a face heavy, of course, in both CQC and range. Tank type, you get some interesting stuff there as well with the T1026, so more light armor. Then you get the Churchill 4, which is fantastic. It's only 35 points. Yes, it is painfully slow, but it comes in with the 6-pounder, which fires pretty fast, 12 rounds a minute. So you can easily outgun every tank that you can realistically pen with the 150 moves of pen that you get, which is pretty nice. KV1S, KV1S leader, and then the T3476 in B phase roundup. So quite a bit of potential there in A phase with units that can really nicely block out other tanks or upgrade to them, because the KV1 with a little bit more armor is also quite a pain to deal with. Support tab, flamers, then military police. Now this one is actually quite nice as well. Some Soviet divisions have something like this as well, because it has a DP machine gun as well. So basically for only 15 points, your disheartened units are now not disheartened anymore, and you get more firepower on top of it. And it's not too small either, so this is actually quite nice combination with the Mustad bundle. I'm actually surprised it only brings 1 card in A phase, because you can spam them throughout the whole game. We have like 2 or 3 cards of those. 50mm mortar doesn't need to be introduced. Maxim and ammo. AT-tab, a nice mix of tools, but of course nothing too heavy there. Get the 45mm, is the CIS 3, and then, oh no, it's an F22, never mind, sorry. SU-85, which is about your heaviest AT tool that you get, and then the SU-76, which is fantastic, as we all know. Fast rate of fire, radio, and that nice, cheap 40 points. AA tab, 37 mils, nothing special. Artillery tab to 122, which you can also use as as 2K, which is, I guess, the reason why we see them in A phase. And the off map, which of course on this map specifically in A phase for Vanguard is very, very powerful. And then in B phase, the Andrusha, I think it also doesn't need much introduction. Quite a fantastic tool. Now in the air tab, we also get a very special unit with the SU2. It's a Recon AT plane. It does decent damage. It can definitely kill tanks in one run, and it is super obnoxious because, of course, it can spot things and shoot them down at the same time, which is pretty powerful. Then LA5 and Year 2 to round it all up. And on the other side, we do have Lovas, a division that has been around for quite a while. I think it has been from the base game even, if I have seen this correctly, but I don't know for sure. I was not around back then. And yeah, it has always been in kind of a mess spot. It has seen better and worse times. But I'm very surprised to see it here. I'm not sure how well this does generally on Orsha East. It's not that I doubt that it can do well. It's just I generally do not know. So I'm very curious to see. In the recon, we do have the Toldi 2A and then the Lovas something. It's just a chunky recon squad with a machine gun, if I remember correctly. Now, in the tab, of course, this is one of the strong points of this division. You get really fantastic infantry, some of the good Hungarian stuff that, you know, we don't see very often in a lot of divisions, and basically the reason to play is on top of the 2 rounds, which are also pretty cool, of course. So we get the Flamer unit in A phase together with the Husarak, 2 cars of those, leader, and then the Husar with a very hard name that is very hard to pronounce at double vet. These are absolutely fantastic, super chunky, triple machine gun, if I remember correctly. Yeah, these are so hard to kill and they slap so hard. This is really one of a unit that is a nightmare to fight against. Then we get the Arkazak in B phase together with some Husarak MG42 and some more Husarak in C phase. So just remember that all of these units are just generally relatively chunky compared to other infantry squads, which really gives them already a lot of firepower. Tank tab, 2 round 1s and 2 round 2s. Now, these of course have their limitations. They have very limited pen. Both of them, but they have high rate of fire, they are super cheap, and still have the health of a medium tank, right? They are a medium tank, so they can upgrade so nicely. Now, again, some of the armor of 7th SD, that works really well, like all the light tanks that SD has. However, once you run into the KV ones, it's going to be tricky because they have quite a bit of armor that's trying to probably can't pen. You do have tools for that in the AT tab, and I'm going to get to that in a second. In the support tab, we have 50 mil to counter the 50 mil of 7th SD, but this one, of course, only has 500 meter range, as it is the Axis one, which is not as good. Flamer, 540, sorry. Flamer, Schwadlose, and ammo. AT tab, you get a nice little AT rifle squad. I think it has the Solothron, which is pretty good. 75 mil and then Pack 40 in A and B phase, as well as bazookas in B phase only. I'm surprised about that. Usually you see it in A phase, but I guess he expects more light tanks in A phase and the need to expand them around in B phase. And then, of course, in B phase, you get the Hetzer, which is a fantastic tool that some of Jaapaasa's units will struggle with, for sure. However, things like the Churchill will definitely be able to pen it, but the Jagdpanzer most probably will be able to easily take care of those KV ones. AA tab, Nimrod, just a 1 though, 80 mil, and then some Bofors. Artillery tab, artillery spotter for the radio, I suppose, and actual recon in A phase. Together with the off-map plane in A phase, leader and the 149. So the off-map plane in A phase might look like an odd choice, but on this map you can really benefit quite a lot from it. And on the top of that, off-map planes usually get stopped easily by B phase because there's usually A. So if you want to bring it, you might want to bring it in A phase. Air tab, just some recon, tank buster, and fighter bombers only in B phase. And here we are back on Orsha East. So let's start with the deployments. Now, Jaapaasa obviously got the good side, which is the red side, because you have more of the hill to work with. You have more town on the hill to work with as well, right? It's a little bit more hill on the red side and much more town, which can be making a big difference because you can really dig in here and make it hard for your opponent to push you off the hill, whereas a red side has a much easier time pushing blue off the hill because it's just less town to work with. You basically get up here and don't have any cover, so that just complicates things quite a bit. That can be very crucial, and as usually the way it works is if you're pushed off the hill completely, it's going to be rough for you to come back. Sometimes you can get back in with off map, but especially if you haven't traded super well, it's usually quite rough. And then of course you have the flanks, which sometimes are basically criminally undefended, and at some other times players just basically go for just one of big push in one of the flanks or try to just push up both flanks. Very nice. Deployment wise, Jaapaasa goes relatively aggressively down south, but it's a lot of cheap stuff, right? We have these pioneered, we have flamers, we have 50 mil, and then a Churchill, which is not exactly expensive either, but we have some light infantry there as well. On Koenig side, we just have an AT rifle, flamer, Schwadlose to hold things further back, and a Toldi. So Koenig kinda, I guess, expects to lose this anyway. So this is a typical deployment of, well, I'm gonna try. If my opponent doesn't push, I might keep the flag. If he pushes, I at least don't lose much because I don't want to actually invest into this. So this is a very typical deployment if that's your strategy. Now, in the center, we do see a big push by Jaapaasa, which is to be expected, right? As on red side, it's basically hard to pass on the opportunity of pushing blue off the hill. On top of that, Jaapaasa has a speed advantage and Koenig has a speed disadvantage. His division is relatively slow. Jaapaasa is playing Soviets, which have very fast transports over, like in general, or at least for some crucial units. We have, again, a lot of pioneered and flamers and whatnot. So, and then some Maxims, 20 mil, and then just a little bit of line infantry. No, we don't. Yeah, no, the Mustang Mandate, one of them. And of course, Recon AA and a lot of tanks that can already block things off there. Now, on Koenig side, we do have an early off-map lane, which can definitely stop that pusher right in its tracks, and can kind of help him to keep that hill, right? If you pass pushing, it doesn't really matter if Koenig can just off-map his way in there again, and then push back with his Turans, of which we see a ton of. We do see some AT rifles, machine guns, flamers, and then, of course, the good line infantry there. Light deployment up north, just a little bit of infantry hold it. Same thing up here as well. Koenig not going for any pushes whatsoever. Jaapaasa also not going super aggressively. He's poking forward a little bit, but not super heavily up north. So I think this is a pretty classical deployment. Both sides focus mainly on the center, but Jaapaasa with his lot of cheap tools, and also the advantage that he does not need to contest the hill super strong yet, also tries to poke down south. This is very typical, right? Because he has the liberty of not going super strong here. He may want to, he most certainly wants to, by the looks of it. But, if his push does not push Koenig off the hill completely, that's perfectly fine for him. He has his Vanguard income and he has generally a strong position to do that later. Now, we do see an early off-map by Koenig, which is going to hit in just a bit. We're going to try to see that we don't miss it. Jaapaasa getting in positions down south, by the way, but a lot of Jaapaasa's fast attack force has pushed through. Now, some of these things might still get pinned. Oh, the F-22 might die in the transport. That would be pretty bad. Is it though? No, it's unloading in time, but off-map's going down. Might pin that 20 mil, which is going to be quite crucial to prevent these from actually getting in. It does pin it. It also pins the 45 mil. Actually does quite a bit of damage too, by the looks of it. F-22 is also getting him a little bit pinned. Now the KV-1, unless it takes direct damage, will probably not be super impressed by that. 75 mil though could be a problem for the KV-1. Churchills will be a problem for Toronto, because at 90 millions of armor, they will generally, I forgot that I can always check here, at 90 millions of armor, they will bounce quite a few shots, and at the same time, they will easily pen those Turans. And to add to that, on top of everything, they can also do that relatively fast. Off my plane coming in again. Or is it going to drop back here? So he's trying to finalize his push. KV1 is holding off these Turans quite nicely. Turans are now encircled, which is actually not really to Koenig's, Jaapasa's advantage, because what's going to happen is these can run rampant in the back lines, and you don't want to have that. 45 mils are unfortunately stopping right in at the off-map. Church is also driving right into it. KB1 just trying to stop things for the moment. 75 mil moving into position. We do see some fighting down south, so unsurprisingly, Jaapaasa cleared that out, got one flag, which is quite huge for him, and the 50 cal half flag is just pushing forward, pinning the Schwarlose, though the Toldi here might be able to stop that. Off map's going to go down pretty soon, I imagine. Up north, not much happening so far. So both players, yeah, I mean, as we could have expected, focusing on the hill. 2-6s are following this up as well. He has one last Kurit SVT just holding his flag because Koenig is not going to. So they have an early 59 as this flag his wings as well. And wait, there's another one. Oh, both these, yeah. As I told you, has not spotted the half track yet, and the half track has not spotted the Schwarlose to surrender it up close yet. KV1 up close versus Turan 1s. That's a bit of a problem. The Turan 2s could potentially penetrate this range, but not the Turan 1s. The BA-20, oh, this is what it's called, BA-20, with the one with just the GT machine gun. Proving to be a little bit annoying, but the Toldi can definitely clear that out. Snipers doing sniper things. T60 are on the run because they are no match for the Turan 1. Turan 1 can easily kill those off map. They go down, and did quite a lot of damage. As we can see, the AT guns died, but the Churchills are still alive. One was falling back. Considering how slow this thing is, it's not going super far, but it also means that it's going to take still ages till it arrives back at the front line. 20 mil trying to clear out the church tower, assuming that something is there. I haven't actually seen if it was. Maybe you have, and can let me know in the comments. But even if there wasn't, it's very reasonable to assume that something is there. So that's definitely makes sense. Turan now arriving down south, as well as Toldi having pushed forward and cleared out that half track. Pioneered and Flamer trying to push forward. Churchill arriving slowly but surely. Can definitely clear up both these tanks there. Some more infantry pushing across down south. So Jaapaasa looking for opportunities to push there. Now, of course, we need to know that Koenig has, I think, gained quite a bit with that off map, which is huge for him. Oh, armor cracked by this, no, by this 75 mil. That makes sense. I think this is the pack 40. Yeah, this is the pack 40. On the Churchill, which is pretty huge, because this thing would be a brick wall for those Turans. Pretty much. KV1 is still a problem. The 75 mil that used to be here was killed. T26 is coming out. These don't have as fast of a fire rate as the Turans, but still decently fast. The pen is good. The range is decent against Turans as well, so they can definitely try and match them. Now, did Koenig remember to turn off the AP shell? He did not. However, it's possible that because of he's fighting a lot of this light armor, he deliberately did not turn it off, because the AP shell actually has good accuracy, whereas the heat shield does not. The heat shield has more pen, so if you're fighting against actual medium tanks, you usually want to turn off the AP shell, because it's for some reason shooting the AP shell, not the heat shells. But in that specific scenario, oh, we do see an early Ju-87 as well bombing this. Back to what I wanted to say quite a while ago, actually, is so the early investment in off-map lane is quite risky, but it looks like it actually paid off for Koenig. He got a few kills of it. He got into good position and got some follow-up kills because of it. Because basically, and I think it was kind of necessary to be, if he hadn't done it, Jaapaasa would 100% have pushed him off the hill. I don't think there would be much of a comeback chance for Koenig onto that hill without that. Later on with the off-map lane, maybe yes, but Jaapaasa has been bringing the 37 mil as well. F-22 has been deployed in a nice sneaky position, getting off some flanking shots. Now down south, the bombing run here actually shifts the balance quite a bit, as these tanks are now uncontested, and we have to remember that Jaapaasa does not have any tool for fighting with them up close. So the 45 mil will have to do. There's no bazookas or anything like that. Of course, he has a T-grenade on these guys, but it's not the best tool, as the range is quite limited. Bailout on a Turan 2. Wow, that's very unlucky. I killed 1 or 2 Turans here already. 75 mil is about to take revenge. Never mind, it is not. maybe it is again, maybe it's refocusing as well on the KV1 here or this F22. F22 here being used, or is using its HE shells, which is quite nice to have. We have some more Las Kurit SVT pushing forward, but these Hushar, Golish, Sora, Sok are definitely gonna win any engagement against those. Early SU-85 now in as well. Interesting there. Off my plane coming in down south, just to spot, I suppose, because I don't think that it has any more charges. It's a 210, so it should have 2 charges if I'm not mistaken. I think this is. I asked that from you guys in another video, and you replied and explained to me in the comment that I think above 200 millimeters is 2 charges only, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just there for spotting. I mean, it's a recon plane still, so that is nice to have. Drone 1 falling back after getting penned. Just this leader holding this flag, so that's definitely dangerous. So overall, I think it's generally going in Jaapasa's favor at the moment. But we have to remember that Jaapaasa has the income advantage, of course. And considering the income advantage is, you know, taking quite a few losses. So, but still, if you look at the map, I think he's quite a lot stronger on the map. This has partially to do with the fact that he has killed a lot of Turans here, and Koenig just could not really get in there and kill Jaapasa's armor. We've seen LA5 coming in. Now, this thing does not have the best bomb but it has bombs. More importantly, though, it has the 20 mils and it's decently fast. So you can basically use this as kind of fighter that can also do a little bit of bombing where it needs. So you can maybe pin a unit or two. If you're super lucky, it might actually kill a support gun too. So this is basically why you buy this. This is your fighter that has some extra functionality. I wouldn't buy it as a bomber though. If that's your intention, you probably don't want to get it. It's probably going to kill off that plane as well, which, I mean, this is still recon, so it's still reasonable to go after that, and it's a good kill for Jaapaasa in the grand scheme of things. Leader has been killed off, flag grabbed. And I mean, the forces here are quite a bit stronger than Jaapaasa. I mean, so the Hungarians have a lot of cost-efficient tools, which some of them you have to remember, right? The rounds are really good. And these guys, I mean, for 30 points, this is pretty good, actually, as well. The total rate of fire, now, the machine gun is, of course, not as good as an MG42 or anything like that, but I get 3 of them. The total rate of fire is pretty decent. These guys are straight pull rifles, which are a bit better than just regular bolt actions, and it's 16 man, which is so hard to kill. Now, you don't have AT, that is definitely a huge minus, but for 30 points, it's actually not too bad. Like this can really be quite the headache for a lot of units. 50 mil got caught out of position, but Jaapaasa's line here crumbling, his CQC nowhere to be seen. There's one pioneer in a position where unfortunately can't really do much. You have 2 Mustad Manlit now coming in though. We have reached B phase, however, which means that Koenig now unlocks his full potential. You have more Descendiki now coming in. Okay, more line infantry as well as military police for the center to help with all the Mustad Manlit there. There's already one there, so I guess it just wants to have a good line of those everywhere. But yeah, overall, like all in all, I think Jaapaasa is still in a good position at the moment, but it's definitely far from being game over for Koenig. I think there's a missed opportunity there with the Focke-Wulf not trying to get after this LA5, but maybe the Focke-Wulf is too slow. I think he could have gotten it had he focused it right away, because even if the LA5 is faster, I think it might have been close enough to get a burst off or 2 together with the Nimrod, that might have done the trick. Might be wrong as well. 75 miller is maybe in a bit too much of an aggressive position there in the open, as he could get killed off very, very easily. We do have a surprising northern push though by Jaapaasa with just a few flamer units. Nothing spectacular and some Mustad Manlit, but I mean he's using his he's realized that Koenig has focused a lot of focus on the hill, and is still trying to contest the south quite nicely. So consequently, he can't be super strong on the hill up north. So Jaapaasa is trying to sense that there might be weakness there, and is trying to go for it. Unfortunately for him, his forces were not quite strong enough, and Koenig has reinforced a little bit there, as we can see. So all of that line infantry, I think, only joined, or most of that only joined later on. He's also now pushing this flag with the units that he sent there quite a bit earlier. That's definitely very nice to see there. SU-85 does not need to be afraid just yet, but once those Uzuraks arrive, that looks a little bit different. Uzurak MG42 is coming in as well, as Jaapaasa now grabs this flag. So Jaapaasa still needs to find a little bit more of a flag advantage at some point with his 1311 currently. Now, it's also possible that, you know, it is one of these games where Vanguard versus Maverick does not necessarily have to be a 15-9 from my experience. It can sometimes just be 1311s or 1410s with maybe a very short 15-9. So it's not a must-have. It's not the same as a, I would say it's not the same as Maverick versus Balanced, for example, Vanguard versus Balanced. But still, I think it's not, it tends to be not a very good sign if you cannot manage to get it with your income advantage. Koenig now sending in a lot of these. I don't know, this is actually a T-Rifle, but he's starting to send bazookas around now. This push down south is actually going quite nicely. The T-Rifles of the Lascuri DP cannot do... Oh, never mind. Can actually kill the Turans. I mean, the armor is not that weak, but it is also not that strong. It's 50 millimeters. The Toldi, on the other hand, that's a way better target, but Toldi is fighting back tooth and nails, and I think it's going to pin that last Kurid. Yeah, it is pinned. Still 1311. This flag now grabbed by Jaapaasa, bring it to, or maintain the 1311 as he's... Oh, what did he lose? Oh, he lost that one. As the flame is pushed forward. Musamanli trying to stop that. 80 mil here in a nice position. Further back, so this is something that's actually quite nice to know if you haven't known. Of course, putting units like up here is way better because you have a little bit of a better field of view. But sometimes it's also good just to have them back here when people park units like in those two spots. But sorry for that. That can definitely be helpful. More light armor coming in. Koenig though has prepared with his bazooka units, so I'm a little bit surprised about the positioning. Not really sure. I mean, this, okay, I can kind of get, you know, you want to prevent a tank from pushing across here. This one, I'm not so sure what the idea there is. Still 1311 just because of that. Jaapaasa is actually not looking very good at the moment. He has grabbed these two flags, but he has lost these two in return. And this one is the only one that he's currently... This one is the one that's currently giving him an advantage. K1 is sitting back here, has not been moved yet. I think that's the one that was getting bombed with cluster planes. Not 100% sure. In either case, it has yet to get active. Participating in fighting. Now, the half-shaki can definitely be more of a problem. Now, the Toldi can deal with that. So as soon as the Toldi shifted its way around, it can deal with that, and then Koenig is going to be able to continue to push. Not a cheeky grab here by Jaapaasa, but it looks it's going to be over quite soon with the Shorashak pushing past. By looks of it, it will miss the Pioneer, or the Pioneer will miss it. Because this thing will probably spot it and kill it off from a range. Another Focke-Wulf coming in might also be the same that we've seen before. So Koenig trying to lean into his Air Force now, as he very often does. Koenig is known to be a relatively air-heavy player. Doesn't necessarily mean that he brings a ton of planes, but he likes to put a lot of work into, or he likes to rely a lot on his planes. Andrusha now coming in. That's going to be a bit of a problem. I mean, this is basically kind of like a little off-map, but much more destructive and reloadable, of course. Going after the 80 mil. 80 mil, of course, at the moment, what is holding the line here against these tanks. Now, the 75 mil is coming in, that can definitely do that as well. J87 is coming in, that can also do that. They might just kill that T-34. Which is going to be a little bit problematic for Jaapaasa. Drusha so far only pins but doesn't kill. 80 mil falling back. J87 gets the kill on a DT-34. Jaapaasa going to get lucky, or is he going to get unlucky and all the shots miss? Looks like all the shots miss. Wow. Only 2 damage. It's actually quite bad. Jaapaasa still fighting a little bit in the center and down south. LA5 came in for the bombing run. Failed to kill much though. 50 mortar going back to work, and this is it. This is this range where this thing actually can still work quite well. So this is one of the maps where the 50 mil from the Axis side actually works as well, because you're mostly going to be using it over here anyway. And in the town, it is a little bit more limited, but you will usually find those spots where you can put it safely. Like if you want to find something in here, you can still have it here. Once you make your way back in here, you can move it up here and still be shooting at things in the town. So it is still very useful in this specific scenario. There's like places up north here where it doesn't work as well. This is on one of the maps where the 500 meter range is not as big of a deal. Another 80 mil coming in now, probably, yeah, up here, because then you can kind of cover off the road and the other side here as well. And you still have AA. Still 39 for Jaapaasa, though he's holding on. And this is just the advantage of the red side. And this is especially important with the Vanguard income, right? You can just relatively easily grab these two flags here and kind of hold them, and yeah, the massive advantage. Jaapaasa trying to go after the blob of armor that used to be here, but it has moved. He's only going for 2 volleys though, and is moving the Andrusha right away. Only has 1 shell left, and the ammo is coming in to a resupply currently. Then after, it looks like Koenig is winning the engagement here and is taking the southern position. Nimrod pushing up now. Arkazak coming in as well to steal the deal. So that's not looking very good for Koenig. And all of a sudden, it's 13-11 for him as he regrabs this flag. Still holding that one and grabs this one once again. So Koenig's doing a great job at pushing around the edges of the map. He, of course, as we've seen, he's in a very rough position here in the center. The center is kind of lost, and as we've already established, it's really hard to play this game when you're pushed off the central hill. But Koenig's actually doing quite well regardless. I think Jaapaasa has maybe not applied enough pressure, or at least not gotten enough ground early on out of his initial push, and this is coming back to haunt him now, as Koenig can take advantage of how the game has been going currently or previously, and is pushing back everywhere else now. Jaapaasa might also have overinvested a little bit on the center initially, which makes sense because then you really get it. I'm not actually super happy with the term overinvestment I just used, because it was not a worst investment. It was a very reasonable investment, but of course that means that you are weaker in other parts of the map. He's trying to fight back hard though. Just about re-grab this flag. 80 mil actually under fire by the Maxim here. It's not looking very good, but it's mostly getting pinned and not killed. So far pretty good. Something just died. I could hear it, but I don't know what it was. Down south, yeah, Jaapaasa definitely lost this fight. KV1 is the only thing here that's kind of holding ground here, but that can definitely be dealt with. F22 now moving in a position to prevent any pushes across this. Center, interestingly, not defended by from Koenig's side at all. Now, I would also expect... Oh, there we go. Actually, this is what I was going to say. I would also expect Koenig to start bringing one of the 149s relatively soon. You have to remember that this thing is an absolute unit. It just absolutely shreds. And it is generally quite useful because it can slowly start softening this up, and might allow Koenig to push back in. Of course, an off-map is fantastic for this, but you don't necessarily need it. The 149 can do that as well. And then if he decides not to push the hill back, it can help him clear the skies by focusing on that AA, or just helping him push on the flanks like north and south. But Jaapaasa is trying to re-grab the town now. He's pushing back there. No CQC though. Actually, there's an off though. But the flame is probably still gonna be quite annoying there. I have Turans and Hetzer now in position 2. But currently just chilling there. 13-11 for Jaapaasa still, but Koenig is about to push for that flag up north, and he's probably gonna get it. Although the Hausrako against the AFTO, maybe not that good of a fight. There's not really much here from Jaapaasa, and there's not that much coming that could help him hold that flag. So we could see the 1311 for Koenig relatively soon. And remember, Koenig is basically with the units that are just arriving and some of the units that just still needs to really show an effect. Koenig is just about hitting his strongest point at the moment. So it's not really like the current way the game went is necessarily super badly, right? He just needs to finally take advantage of his position off the map, and that usually takes a while. 1311, here he comes. Jaapaasa just barely grabbing his flag with the Afto. Nimrod and Holy 2 are going to stop that push here by Jaapaasa. That might have been a little bit too aggressive. Jaapaasa now determines to secure off the south with some AA as well, which is definitely going to be needed. KV1 is about to move. Now, it really depends on what it will be going after here, because it's going after the Toldi. The Nimrod might potentially be able to shred that KV1. KV1 is a medium tank after all. Nimrods can definitely kill those. After he gets killed off by the Focke-Wulf, and now it's just regular line infantry, so nothing that is really good at pushing their forest here. So I would argue that Koenig has definitely secured that for the time being, although Jaapaasa might be able to build another counter push down south later on. It also looks like Koenig is trying to poke a little bit at the hill. The problem is Jaapaasa is really strong here, so that's going to cost him. There we go. Toldi goes down. T70s, T60s also engaging. I don't think that is a good fight for Koenig at all. I think he needs to, spot a little bit and then go after it with his 149, which he's currently doing. Definitely love to see that. F22 is pushing forward. I'm not really sure if this is the way to go, but I guess, he wants to have line of sight in here to deal with any armor that might be there sniping his transports. Orsha is being reloaded, is ready to go again. We might see that in action very soon. What a T-34 coming in as well. Koenig has re-grabbed this flag as well. Is now poking again at this flag here. He has secured the north as well. 1311 as, what did he re-grab? No, he had that one. Something just happened. SU2 now coming in, going after the Hetzer here. That would be a big loss for Koenig, but Jaapaasa fails to kill it. The SU85, no, can't see. I think it spots something else. I think it probably spots infantry. Oh, over here. 75mm will kill that off. It will leave this wide open. Driver killed, so nowhere to run for the SU85, and it's probably gonna die. Mustad Manlit, kill off the Flamer. That's huge. As Husarek got shot at quickly by the T26, or maybe the Flamer was, but is now forced off by the Mustad Manlit. Hetzer is pushing forward once again, and nothing can kill that, so that's actually quite big. Orsha is trying to go after this. It's actually a pretty target-rich environment. Kills the Turan too. That's a very good hit. Fails to kill the bazooka. And the Husarek kills the leader though. That's pretty good as well. But Koenig meanwhile has his 149 going as well. So it's not like Jaapaasa strikes are generating a massive advantage, right? Koenig is about to do the same, or is generally doing the same thing. It's just over time, whereas Jaapaasa is more in a more limited time frame. Jaapaasa pushing back down south, so re-grabbing that flag. There is the 20mm though, the 50mm and the Arkazax. So I'm not really sure how easily Jaapaasa will be able to push it, although it's the 50mm out of ammo. It is. So in that case, Jaapaasa can probably push there and might even be able to grab that. Fresh push here with some infantry is again here as well, just for a little bit of a recon. Up north, Focke-Wulf coming in again for this blob right here. Plus the SVT units there that are kind of holding back Koenig's units right now. Gets forced off though by a D37mm right here. C5 coming in as well to deal with the Hetzer, I assume. T26, now he's fighting the infantry, not the Hetzer. I might get a side shot on the Hetzer here though, if the Hetzer is not careful. Depends a little bit on how fast this thing can turn. Not fast enough. Yeah, and now it's gonna bounce and gonna get killed. A5 is being forced off by the 80 mil. Both 80 mils actually. 35 just continue to make its way over there. Koenig now even grabbing this flag, so that's actually looking quite bad for Jaapaasa. Now, in the center, Jaapaasa is still standing very strong, and down south, nothing is decided. But up north, I think the fight has gone heavily into Koenig's favor, although the Su-85 just killed the Hetzer, which is pretty not pretty huge, which is massive. So this might shift the balance here quite a bit. Turans might get sniped now by the Su-85 as they try to make their way in. If they try to push forward, no, they are staying back defensively. So Koenig is definitely smart and realizing that he can't continue to exploit this super aggressively. So he might throw a few units over there, but he can't be super aggressive with all these units, especially those Turans that he still needs. He has limited numbers of those, of course, even though, you know, they have decent availability, but it's not that high. So he has to be a little bit careful of when and where he uses them, and he definitely has realized that. So both players, I think, showing a high level of general map awareness at this point. I've noticed a lot of like super crazy micro plays, but on the macro scale, both players are having an impressive show of skills right here. And I love to see that always when we see the whole map played. And we do see that here, right? We go a little bit in the center, then we have the south, then all of a sudden the north, and it's currently going back and forth a little bit, but the center is not completely quiet either. We have little Koenig poking a little bit on the hill every now and then. Jaapaasa actually sending some reinforcements now. So there's just, you know, they use the whole map as it is, as they're supposed to. I think this is generally a very, very good thing to see. I love to see that. Those are usually good games to watch, but also it just goes to show how important the macro scale is and why you really should pay attention to it. And I can tell you that I haven't for quite a while now, only recently trying to learn about that more, and it really makes a massive difference. I think we can see that right here. Bombing runs coming in, missing the KV-1 Asto, and only damaging the last corded SVT, but failed to kill. Huzarak now and Arkzak now coming in. Koenig about to lose that flag though again. Although the Turan here is currently a little bit of a problem for Jaapaasa. So maybe he's not, even though his infantry situation is not looking super good. Andrusha is going Andrusha's going after the Arkzak, so or Huzarak trying to re-grab that. All supplies are already empty. The Andrusha is super ammo hungry, so if you want to use it for yourself, you should be aware of that. You have to be very, very careful with this thing. It costs so much. It eats through ammo, literally. K1 still defensive, which is very surprising to me, considering that the Trans are here, but now he's gonna move. Yes, be careful though, because Pack 40 is here actually. I don't think Jaapaasa knows. Maybe he does, but doesn't look like it so far. Nah, he's pushing, he's not pushing too deep. Fokker Wolf going for a bombing run on the Afto. KV1 versus Turan 2 should be an easy win for the KV1. Not that Turan can't overpen, but it's still using the AP shell, so it's probably not going to pen that. It's firing faster because of it, but it's also way less likely to pen because of it. Pack 40 meanwhile just moving around in a position where I can actually deal with that KV1, because that's what's going to be needed. KV1 meanwhile turning for the next Turan. Yeah, we're just going to see the KV1 continue to bounce the Turan's shots, and the KV1 will eventually pen that Turan 2. Let's check up north actually. One of the 80 mils has been pinned by the Andrusha by the looks of it. So Jaapaasa saw his opportunity to push, but the other 80 mil is unfortunately for him already there to stop that. LA5 coming in for a little bombing run. It doesn't do a ton of damage. Units were already pinned anyway. And the last code SVT now moving in. And this is actually what's really important for Jaapaasa. He doesn't necessarily... Ideally, he wants to re-grab this at some point, but at least just having a unit here to make sure that he doesn't lose that flag is already pretty big. Because at the end of the day... what counts are flags and tickets. That's not to say that, of course, trades and positioning doesn't matter, because this is, at the end of the day, what allows you to get those flags in one way or another. But just focusing on this and not ignoring, and kind of ignoring things like just trying to secure a flag back when you have the chance to, because your opponent's units are not in position to prevent you from doing so. This is pretty important, of course. 80 mil here is only pinned, so Jaapaasa is not getting very lucky with some Orsha. I mean, he got some kills here, but that's about it. And this thing can really absolutely dominate. Now, this battle here is going to be quite interesting, because the squared SVT is actually pretty decent with the SVTs. I mean, for 20 points, yeah, just the SVT makes this actually pretty deadly. It's quite huge. But do you see a little push here on to the hill? But it's currently not going super well. Run here died. Buckwolf makes Churchill fall back. J7 will probably kill that, as there's not much Jaapaasa can do against it. There we go. Churchill goes down. 37 mils. Both were not in a position to really do much. It is currently moving, so very unfortunate for Jaapaasa, although it probably would have been too far away anyway back here. So this is just an issue with that you always have this hill. This hill is actually very air spammable, because you either put your AA like up here, which means it's very open and killable, and not necessarily something you want, so it's very risky, or you put it back here, which means it's usually too far away to stop things. Now, of course, if you want to bomb like right here, that's another story, but if you want to bomb something like up front here, it's relatively hard to block, so you have to be very careful with the positioning of the AA. Not bombing run here actually misses the Lascode SVT, but damages this one quite a bit. 50mm mortar going after it again. Unfortunately for Koenig, fails to pin. Now going after Mustad Manlet. SU-76 got just sniped, I think, by the 80 mil. 13-11 for Jaapaasa though, again, as he's holding these two flags on the hill. He's regrabbed that one. Currently only down a 2 up north, but holding a 1 down south as well. And fighting is still going on. Not a KV-1 coming in, as well as a T-60 Rozbetka, but a Hetzer is there to stop that. Also, no AA. We've missed it, but the Nimrod did die down south. And that's actually quite massive. I think it happened quite a while ago when we watched those two rounds fight. I think it wasn't there anymore. So, it's pretty huge. But Jaapaasa doesn't have a super massive air force. However, these SU-2s can definitely be quite annoying. They can kill that Hetzer, and then that opens up a lot of opportunities down south. Now, the Pack 4 is also going to be a bit of an issue, but the F-22 can deal with that, the infantry can deal with that. Koenig now focusing at the 37 mil, and rightfully so, I think, because he's actually putting a lot of, he's relying a lot on his airplay. F-22 is probably going to go down here. There we go. Gets killed off. More infantry coming, another T-26. I'm surprised Jaapaasa still has some of those. And they came in, like, they were brought in A phase. That's an A phase card. So I'm surprised that he still has some of them left. 50 mil here, returning the favor. We have a ammo here just to resupply that 50 mil. It's actually quite impressive that Koenig is doing that, because it's so rare that you see 50 mils actually resupplied. But it can definitely make a massive difference. 149 now there for support. This one also needs to be resupplied. Now the heads are coming in. I think we've seen one of them die up north so far. I don't think we've seen more of them die. So I think Koenig still has quite a few of them left, and they're going to be quite the problem for Jaapaasa. J87 trying to get in, and I guess he just assumed that K1 was here to try to blind bomb it, but the 37 mil stops it before it can drop all of its payload. But the infantry is pinned, which is what matters as well. So Jaapaasa will have to fall back, loses a flag, brings it back to 12-12. Might even get some of these units surrendered. Uzurek just pushing through KV1. I'm not sure it can turn in time to stop that. SU-2 is coming in. Yeah, I mean, it's just there for the pinning duty, by the looks of it, which is fine. Holy T versus T60. I'm not really sure who wins that. T60 has the autocannon. So yeah, there we go. It pins so fast. This is an issue that you sometimes have. Same issue, by the way, if you face an SPW 222 with a Steward. Like that thing with the autocannon, it just pins your unit so fast that you are likely not going to kill it. I hope we do see another Turan 2, totally 2. But I think they only do 5 damage with their hit, so you need 2 hits to kill a light tank, and that's what happens. Now this here is another story. I think both these do 8 damage. Yes, they do. So I don't think that's going to go well for the T60. Well, if the Turan 2 has hill depression, that's a whole other story. Koenig notes stone is falling back. Transmission damage. Wow, that's unfortunate. S85 versus 80 mil. Not a good fight for the S85. Gets killed. Andrusha's going after it though. So I think 3rd time's a charm. Do we see a kill here? We do. First shot. That's what Andrusha could not do all day. 50 mil now. Trying to clear the way here for Jaapaasa's units to move in. 75 mil finds the 50 mil mortar. Not very good for Jaapaasa. Very good for Koenig. Now we do see the year 2. Very late buying of a plane, and this thing hurts. 3 1,000 kilogram bombs. That's a bit underwhelming as it misses a lot of its hits, but it kills something. It pins everything here. So, and I think it's not super slow either. It's not crazy fast, but it's not super slow. And now we have a row of Fokker Wolves. The first 7 mil here will not be able to stop that at all. Yeah, I think they're all going to get the bombs off. They're going to kill anything? No, but they're going to pin. And that matters a lot already. Rizrak might be able to surrender this. T60 is moving in to try and stop that. He has to be careful though, because 75 mil might be able to kill it off if it moves too far forward. Which it does not. Luckily there for Jaapaasa, because I can't imagine that he knows that this thing is there. Rizrak fighting the last Kurit SVT. Well, at that range, not looking very good. Encirclement now happening, so this will collapse very, very soon. Squid DP pushing in, can't stop all of those, so I could definitely do some damage to the 75 mil. It is super pin, so even with the cover difference, it will lose against Rizrak. There we go. Rizrak can just move in and pin it. Oh, there we go. 75 mil finds the T60. Not looking very good for Jaapaasa down south now. Although it's not far from decided, so he is just taking some losses here that were not super good. But it's not at the end of the day. Andrusha now going after 75 mil, which is on the move. So it might leave that circle very soon. Gets pinned, but not killed. Jaapaasa stops strike early and is moving his Andrusha constantly. Rightfully so, because the 149 can easily deal with that if he ever forgets to move that. And against a player like Koenig, you need to be aware of that, and you need to expect that he's gonna eventually counter battery you if you don't move your artillery. It's just generally something that you should be doing. T26 here finally goes down to a Hetzer, and all of a sudden the central looks relatively weak. There's not that much left here, and yeah, I'm not really sure how Jaapaasa wants to deal with that. We do have 2 Su-76s coming out. They can definitely deal with it. Yeah, they have 135mm of pen, but that is with the APCR. Which I think, yeah, only does 4 damage, so here. Oh no, it's not the 3 damage one, sorry, it's 4. So 3 hits instead of 4, which matters quite a bit. And the AP shell could do it, but it's going to struggle a bit. SU2 might also be able to do the trick. There is no AA in the center still, as so far it was not really a main focus of Koenig, but now it's going to pay for that. SU2 fails to kill it though. Track's broken, so it is immobilized, which is quite huge. 50mm meanwhile poking out those AFTOs. Might hit them accidentally, or at least pin them accidentally with the spread. Currently 30-11 for Koenig again. He has 10 minutes to go, so, you know, while Jaapaasa is generally having the lead, Koenig, if he can stick to 13-11 now, might be able to pull it off. Although I think he needs more than 13-11, so... And looking at the map, we see a lot more reds than blue. Now, there's also a lot of red tools that are cheaper than what Koenig has, but this is definitely not true for everything. 149 still trying to go for this. So I think Koenig's focus now really needs to be flags. This is not the time anymore to look for trades, because it just takes some time for it. Meanwhile, Jaapaasa, by the looks of it, has been trying to do that to some degree throughout the whole game, and is having quite a bit of success with it. Fockel's now going for some bombing runs, so Koenig doing a good job at going for those flags and trying to find opportunities. Is getting some kills. If he continues like that, I can really quickly add up, but the problem is he's running out of time. He needs to do it quick, but he has a 14-10. Gets the 15-9 for just like 3 minutes maybe, and that might be looking very good for him. Not a guarantee for window, but might be very good. The SC-76s have arrived though. The heads did go down, and I actually see into what. So that is potentially a problem. And with the 80 mils down up north, the SC2 can now again do whatever it wants. It's going for a pin on the 75 mil. And the LA5 is going to be there to finish it off, or trying to do so at least, and failing miserably. Landing infantry just trying to go after it. Let's go to SVT here on a return fire, just hiding to make sure that Jaapaasa is going to keep that flag. Orsha is reloading, going after this blob of infantry that is currently threatening Jaapaasa's position here, although I'm not really sure what flags he can directly threaten. Koenig decides not to keep his Usarok there, finding the 37 mil. Is that retreating, so Jaapaasa with his Orsha strike might just miss. Unfortunately, he did not put it on return fire because this kind of allows you to release it on demand, but now it will just release whenever it's ready, so it will most likely miss. And not really do much. Does Jaapaasa notice and stop it? No, he does not. SC2 just providing some recon, which matters quite a bit as well. 149 now trying to soften up the area for the next flag. Next push being prepared. Driver kill and Turan not in a position to shoot back. Oh, armor cracked. No. Well, but why wasn't it not shooting back? Did it suffer from hill pressure? I mean, it's... Yeah, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. That just sucks. Another LA5 now coming in. I think... Oh, down south, Gear 2 was stopped as it tried to bomb probably all of this. Which is quite sad. I would have... Oh, 80 mil snipes it out of the skies. Wow. Love to see that. Rucksack now coming in here, but I don't think... Yeah, 12-12, so... Not looking very good for Koenig. Actually, it's looking pretty bleak for Koenig. Orsha going for the next strike right here. Securing Jaapaasa another flag. Bringing it back to a fertile land for Jaapaasa. SC2 just going for the pinning run. Actually kills the 75 mil. Wow. And looks like Jaapaasa's push up north finally paying off. As he slowly but surely pushed through the hill. And is about to re-grab this flag now. LA5 going for the recon here. Not even moving a unit into surrender, it's just pushing. Another 80 mil in here. And 3 Fokkels. Just to kill that one plane. No, they're also trying to bomb things. They're gonna get a kill nice and easy there. There's no way here anyway. Both these are, of course, ready to do other things. They're going for the SU-76 now. But flag here full 12-12. Koenig, meanwhile, a regrab. Probably the one down south. He did. But now he's going to be stopped by a lot of armor. Now, just Pack 40 and the 80 mil are moving forward. But against that blob of armor, I don't think that they can do much. I think that they will just get easily killed off by those. So, not looking very good. Another Hetzer is in. SU-76 is taking a run at it. They trade, which is good for Jaapaasa at the end of the day, because it means that Koenig again loses his pushing pressure here on the hill. And also in terms of points investment, of course, a very good trade for Jaapaasa and a bad trade for Koenig. Another Hetzer coming in. That's probably going to be the last one, or maybe the second to last, but there's not that many left. Koenig re-grabbing this flag up north to bring it back to 13-11, but just a little too late by looks. So I don't think he can do much at that point. Yeah, Jaapaasa just dominating this. I mean, if you look at it, like it definitely is a rough matchup for Koenig, right? Because at the end of the day, first of all, he's on the bad side of the hill with a slow division, which is really not that good. But also, his armor matchup is just not that good. Jaapaasa has cheap light armor, they can deal with Koenig's light cheap armor. Ypaza has some armor that really blocks Koenig's armor. Now, Koenig with the Hetzer has a tool that Ypaza can definitely struggle against, but Ypaza does have some tools to deal with it. So it's not like it doesn't. So it's not the brick wall that you kind of need it to be when you play Lovas. For example, when you play against Western allies. So yeah. And then infantry, it's just probably not good enough to make up for this. And I think, so Koenig got a lot of value out of his Air Force, but I'm wondering if he bought a little bit too early. I might be wrong. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it was just the right time and there was just nothing that Koenig could do anyway. But maybe that was a bit too early. This is if people stop spamming planes and then end up not having enough map control, that's very often what's happening. Now, an experienced air player like Koenig usually wouldn't walk into that trap, but maybe it happened here. I'm not really sure. So if you're watching Koenig, let me know what your kind of analysis is. But I mean, it's safe to say, I didn't want to hold that fact back until after the game, just to not, potentially spoiler you. But I have played against Ypaza's ST in the quarterfinals, where he managed to easily throw me out of that. And yeah, so his S7 SD is actually pretty good. I had to experience it there myself. I was also on the receiving end with an Axis division that has some light armor or generally cost-efficient armor, but you just struggle with it. In my case, it was Thatcher. The problem is that the armor of S is just the mix is also just pretty good, and those Churchills are just incredibly cost-efficient now. At only 35 points with the rate of fire, they easily shred medium tanks. The most unlit everywhere is also pretty annoying, by the way, because they're just holding up quite nicely, actually. Fokker Wolf going after S76 will probably kill it both together. No, okay. We also have a recon plane by Koenig. I guess he didn't know what else he wants to buy at that point. He regrabs the south entirely, actually managed to kill all of these tanks off, but unfortunately for him that doesn't really matter, because Ypaza still has the 1311. Now he's pushing here on the hill, bringing it back to 1212. I love to see Koenig really giving his best right till the end. But of course, the battle is decided and Ypaza will take that win. And we'll move on to the finals. Now, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, of course, this result I already knew because Ypaza went on to the finals. He went on to a win against Fired, which is quite achievement as well. I don't mind dropping this here because I'm not going to cast those games anyway. I think they're relatively short. Might be mistaken though. But anyway, really cool. So congrats to him. I think it's the first win for Ypaza in a monthly. So it's definitely improving quite a bit recently, and it's nice to see and watch his career. So chronology. Let's start with that. Koenig with his early off-map got quite a good trade early on. The problem is, and we don't see it here, nicely displayed, but he lost quite a few Turans in the process, and then Ypaza start with his income advantage kind of slowly start to turn things out. Koenig still, was doing a good job at resisting for quite a while, actually. One of the issues, though, is that, except for the Turans, generally speaking, a lot of things that Ypaza kills are more expensive than when Koenig kills things. But like from the chronology, it doesn't look as decisive as you would expect. Only around minute 28, it really starts to be very heavy on Ypaza's side. And even then, you have like these pockets of Koenig actually doing pretty. We can actually check. I haven't looked at it actually. This is what I usually do first. Yeah, the trades were relatively even actually. On the map, it looked like Koenig had less. Maybe that's because his units were more expensive, but also because he invested quite a lot into air. Which Ypaza might not have, so maybe it's that. I don't know. In terms of kills, KV1 at the start was massive for Ypaza, holding up all of those Turans and Toldies. F22, I think that was the one that snuck up on the hill. also doing a good job. The LA5, of course, killing some planes and actually killing 2 infantry units as well. Pretty decent. The T26 at T60, absolute fantastic. Some infantry doing well as well. Then Rusha, I didn't actually kill all that much. KV-1S, of course, again, being an absolute unit. This thing was probably a major issue for Koenig, I have to imagine. And then, you know, there's just a good amount of units here that did do well, and that really makes a difference. On Koenig's side, the off-map actually got some kills, but not that many. Flamer, or Flamer unit at least, got a good amount of kills to run to. Killing those half-tracks. I mean, this is the issue with those half-tracks. They are super nice and can do a lot of work, but if you are against some a lot of light cheap armor, they often don't survive as long. You have to be careful with them as well, because I often feel like as it's just a transport and it's not that many points, but it will add up eventually. I don't think that was an issue here, but just generally speaking. Now, yeah, and Koenig's superior infantry here really shining. He made excellent use of the 50 mil. That needs to be said. I think he did a lot of good work with that. Hetzer, I mean, Hetzer was a major problem for Jaapaasa in return. 287. This thing killed so many tanks. The 80 mil as well. So, not 75 mil doing well. The 149, look at it go. Also did quite good work. Yeah, Koenig got a lot of good kills from his AT tools, and his infantry really did the work too. Wolf here getting some kills as well. 80 mil again. Yeah, pretty nice there. But yeah, fantastic game. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and see you next time.